What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid, coming at you with another Destiny video. Today, this week, it's time for the Nightfall, time to go ahead and talk about it, time to show the loot that we got, and this week, we're actually opening up the skeleton key chest at the end, so that's pretty sick. Coming off of what is probably the most difficult Nightfall that Destiny can put together, we've got a pretty standard and pretty typical Nightfall going on. Now, there are a few little kinks that you have to work out, one of those being match game. So with match game, you're always going to want to shoot at an enemy with a shield with a like type of element. But don't worry, if you don't happen to have that exact element, you can always defeat the enemy by aiming down the sights. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it, but that witch, she wanted absolutely nothing to do with that Gjallarhorn. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, so for my exotic weapon, I pretty much just rocked out the Gjallarhorn each time. Because solar shields, you saw those a few times in this raid. You saw solar shields, you saw a couple void shields. There are some void witches that are out there. As far as arc shields, I saw maybe one Taken Cabal that was in that room with all of the Shriekers each run. But that was really it, so I wouldn't really worry about arc too much. Solar heavy seems pretty solid, and we always have a lot of solar heavy exotics. And I was just using a void sniper, but I didn't really find that I needed it all that much. In this endgame battle, right here at the boss, you don't have to worry about shields at all, so your weapon choices are really not that necessary as far as worrying about the burns. But it's not that bad. In fact, it was really funny and really interesting. Whenever we were running this with Pooch and Devil, I was like, it seems like we have this modifier set pretty much every time we end up doing the Sunless Cell Strike. It's always match game, and exposure, and chafe. Those three seem to go hand in hand on this strike, and I understand why Bungie wants chafe to be in here, because they feel that with this arena where it's all dark, having no radar makes it just a little bit trickier and a little bit more difficult. But I mean, after you've got over the initial shock of running this strike the first time, by now chances are you've run this a whole lot, and it doesn't really throw you for a loop. It doesn't really matter if you have a radar or not. You know whenever the enemies are coming in, and you know to try jumping up in the air, especially if you happen to hear any of those exploding thrall anywhere around you. It's really not that difficult. And like I said, we touched on some of the other things. Exposure's on, and I know exposure is kind of one of those modifiers that people really get upset with. Some people absolutely hate it. But in the middle of our third Nightfall, actually probably right around here on our third Nightfall, I asked Pooch and Devil if they even noticed that exposure was on, and they said no, not really. And that's because it just doesn't ever seem like it really factors into the gameplay. In fact, I look at exposure as actually a little bit of a benefit because it makes your shields so much stronger than they are normally. And even though it says that your shields do not regenerate, they actually do, and you can actually see that my shield is going up just as we're looking at this right now. My shield is actually going up. It's slow, it's extremely slow, but it doesn't not regenerate, it just regenerates extremely slowly. So I don't know, from my point of view, exposure really isn't a hindrance. I really don't mind it at all. The modifiers that I hate are Trickle and Juggler and Light Switch whenever it was around. Those are terrible modifiers. In fact, the only one of those that you don't see anymore on the Nightfalls is Light Switch. I'm not even sure if Light Switch is even still in the game or not. I don't know if Bungie ever made mention like, hey, Light Switch is never going to come around again, or if they simply never put it on. But whatever the case is, Light Switch was absolutely terrible, and hopefully someday Trickle goes away. Juggler probably won't go away. I guess I haven't noticed Juggler as much in this most recent sessions of Nightfalls, but definitely in the past. It just might be scars from year one Nightfalls, because Juggler was definitely a significant thing back then. Overall though, this Nightfall isn't bad. Brawler, chafe, exposure, match game, we can handle those things. And it's a far cry from last week. And last week was actually pretty hilarious for me. So we ended up doing our normal Nightfall video with our normal Nightfall loot that we do every single week. And there didn't seem to be a whole lot of people that were actually viewing it last week. And I found that really interesting. But whenever I was actually going and looking at my YouTube analytics, there was an absolute metric crap ton of people that were looking at an old Shield Brothers Nightfall where I happened to mention a little cheese spot in it. So that really got me noticing what was going on that week. People were really frustrated with the Nightfall last week. Solar Burn on the Shield Brothers is a really tough strike, and people were looking, they weren't really caring about the loot. They were looking for ways to finish it in any easy way possible, and they definitely went to the cheese video. But here we are. I actually got my first skeleton key to drop from a Nightfall. So we can get a helmet or a special weapon here, and I could really use a helmet. I'd like to put a 400 helmet on my Warlock. I want to get him up towards 400, and I ended up getting this Hood of the Night Sun class item for the Hunter. Didn't even know what that was all about. So it's $3.99, unfortunately, and I do not like the look of that. That I am not a fan of. Don't dig it. My Hunter has a cape because he wants to wear a cape. He doesn't want to wear a little Titan butt rug around his neck. No. And I didn't even get a 400 special weapon, so womp womp on that first skeleton key. But maybe our Nightfall rewards will be better. We're going to have to wait and see as we're going ahead and turning in these rewards. Alright, we got an exotic, and it is 400. A 400 4th Horseman. That is going to be infusion fuel, because right now I have no need for a 4th Horseman. Pooch got a few strange coins, and we got a special weapon for Devil Dog. Now moving on to our second character, I am going to use a skeleton key here, and yes, my Warlock ended up grabbing the Darkblade helmet. Obviously I can't wear it on my Warlock, but I'm hoping it's 400. It's not 400. It is not 400. So I think what I'm actually going to do is take that over to my Titan and infuse it into the helmet that he's already got on, because the one that he has on, I believe, is 388. So it's going to make a much bigger difference on him than bumping up my Warlock by 1 light point. Now as far as the endgame Nightfall tiered rewards, what are we going to get? Again, 400 is our goal, absolutely goal, and we got a bunch of legendary stuff. So a 398 sidearm for Devil, a 400 last ditch for me, and a 389 auto rifle for Pooch. And that last ditch, again, it did not have range perks, so it's going to be infusion fuel. And here it is on my final character, on my Titan. I picked up another skeleton key. So in these Nightfalls, we got 2 skeleton keys in 3 runs. We haven't got a skeleton key from a Nightfall yet in the Rise of Iron, and here we go getting it twice. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop it, and we get another fusion rifle. Jeez, I was really looking for helmets, and we got mainly fusion rifles, and $3.99 fusion rifles to boot. So, oh jeez, even a $3.99 artifact. They really are holding me tight. They're really being stingy about that last light point. But that's okay, we're going to keep doing our Nightfalls, because the actual Nightfall rewards, the rewards that we get at the end screen, have been coming in pretty hot. So what are we going to end up grabbing for our Titan for our final Nightfall? We got a helmet, and there's a sidearm for Devil, and my helmet is 400, so that is absolutely going over to my Warlock to give him a 400 infusion fuel helmet. And Pooch actually got a palindrome, which is cool, except for the fact that you can buy just pretty much a god tier one anyway in the tower. So that was a pretty solid Nightfall this week. 3 400 items from the Nightfall. We opened up 3 skeleton key chests. We got 2 skeleton keys to drop. Not too bad. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Nightfall, and I'll see you around in Destiny. No cheese needed this week.